Hi guys, I'm not sure what to call you, so I'm sorry if guys offend you. I'm trying to find like a more gender neutral um, way of saying hello. I guess I can say hello everyone. I haven't done like a YouTube video of me actually talking to you guys in a while, and I kind of miss it. Mainly, I've been watching like YouTube videos about like catfish stories and like a whole bunch of storytime videos, and I kind of got into this weird headspace where I'm like, have I ever been catfished? Like, I never tried to date anybody online because it's always been a weird concept to me. My phone's ringing. Who's calling? Okay, so yeah, I wanted to do like story time. I don't have any story times, but I have like different. Oh, I guess you could say different experiences. I don't feel like I can relate to catfish stories like in a traditional way of like trying to date somebody online and having to be like not the same person that they like we're supposed to be online as far as pictures and stuff goes. But I feel like I have experiences that are similar to catfish stories, and mostly modeling and just like day job experiences. So I'll start off with my modeling experiences because I guess that's like more fun for you guys. So yeah, catfish modeling experiences. A few years ago when I first started modeling, I didn't really know anything about modeling or fashion or anything. And I was getting, this is after like the recession hit, and like my only job was modeling at the time. Like I would do like 2 or 3 photo shoots a day, and I was always on my phone looking for gigs in between shoots. Like it was so crazy. And that's like when Model Mayhem was a lot better than it is now. And I got like most of my gigs from Model Mayhem and sometimes Craigslist. But Craigslist is like a needle in a haystack. Most people on there are scammers and creeps and weirdos, but every so often you find like some really good hidden gems that sometimes people post things on Craigslist because they don't really know about Model Mayhem, or they don't know about like other official websites for that, or they can't afford an agency, or they can't or or they just don't know like what Facebook groups or whatever to post on. Like they just need a model for a gig and they just post on Craigslist because it's not really a job, it's just like a gig. So anyways, I just wanted to like this cast call for a model, and it fit what I was doing, and it seemed like a good thing to do. Like everything seemed legit, and I was talking to this person. I'm gonna use their real name because I'm not mentioning a last name, and I feel like this could apply to anybody. But this person's name was Dara. So I assumed that this was a woman that I was talking to, but it wasn't. It was a male photographer, but he wasn't a real photographer. He was a photographer. You know what I mean? Like guy with camera, creep with camera, more like. And he just like I was responding to him. Like I thought that this was a woman that I was talking to, so I thought, okay, well, I get to shoot with another female photographer. Like that's cool. Look forward to meeting you and all this other stuff. And then I get there to the photo shoot, and the person that I was supposed to meet, it was a man. And I was like, "Where's Dara?" And he's like, "I'm Dara." I'm like, "Oh, I thought that was a woman." And he said that he was Middle Eastern or Turkish or something, and in his country that's a masculine name, but in America it's a feminine name. So yeah, and I ended up shooting with this person, but it wasn't a very good experience. He was a creep. He he said he had a home studio, but like when I went to his house, and I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't a safe thing to do. But like it was just like a regular house, and like his camera was like one of those old school 80s video camera type things. And he said that he did like video tapes for the military, and like sent videotapes of girls to the military because it was supposed to be like a pinup style shoot, so it wasn't like a shoot or anything. And he's like trying to get me to shoot nude, but the gig was like a lingerie thing. I was supposed to be modeling clothing, and I wasn't. And like this guy kept bothering me because he was just such a creep and annoying, and so I ended up leaving. And that's like one of the only times that I've ever like walked out on the shoot. I think I've only walked out on the shoot like twice out of like 7 years that I've modeled, and all the people that I work with. That was like the first time I like walked out on the shoot, and I've only done it twice. It's really a last resort thing. I try and work things out as best as I can, but if a person doesn't feel safe uh, if a person doesn't feel safe to me to work with, then I don't really want to work with them. I don't want to force myself to work with them. Like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about like whatever opportunities. A lot of people say like like when you don't go along with what people tell you in the modeling industry, they try and make it seem like you're shooting yourself in the foot for other opportunities, when really it's just a way to manipulate you into doing something that you don't want to do, just to try and like trick you. And it's really sad because a lot of younger models are more susceptible to that because you don't really know about the industry, you don't know about consent, you don't know about your rights or anything. And I used to feel like, well, I can't say anything, I can't speak up about my bad experiences in the modeling industry because it'll just reflect on me being a model. And if those people have been in the industry longer than me, then they can tell their friends, and word will get around fast that I'm like a bad model to work with, and then it'll be harder for me to get gigs. And I worked in a very small area. I lived in Maryland at the time, but I did most of my shoots like in DC and Virginia, because the DC Metro connects like all three states, and it's just so small. So I was just so afraid to say anything when I felt uncomfortable, or to speak out about any bad experiences I had with anybody. But yeah, like I ended up leaving that shoot and going home. I didn't get paid or anything. So yeah, like this person allowed me to believe that he was female when he wasn't, and he wasn't like a good person to work with. Like I would try asking like basic questions like, oh, can I take a picture of your ID? Like that was a thing that I did. Like I would take pictures of people's ID and like send it to like my friends and family in case something happened to me when I was with the person. That was just like a safety thing I did. And this person got like so defensive about that, and I don't know, it was weird. And like I took a picture of this person's license plate before I got in the car. Again, don't get anybody's car unless you like know them. And he got like offended by that. And you know, people who act that way, they're suspicious. They're not like people you should try and work with, and it's not really a safe thing to do. So that was like kind of sort of like a catfish modeling like experience. Also, a thing that photographers, I should say, do with their reverse image search, because like all the new like accounts on Model Mayhem that aren't like verified anymore, is sometimes photographers, I mean guys pretending to be photographers, they steal photos from other photographers, and sometimes it's just one photographer they steal stuff from, and they put it in their portfolio and act like it's theirs, and they have this whole bio about their experiences and stuff, but it's not theirs. And unless that photographer calls them out, or somebody that's familiar with their work reports it to that person, then it's really hard to find. And sometimes photographers will take pictures from multiple photographers, like portfolios, and put it in theirs and act like it's theirs. But that's very obvious when that happens, because the photographers have their own style, and the quality varies, and you can tell the difference between like somebody that has a cohesive photography portfolio, even if they're shooting different subjects. Like they have their own way of shooting, and you can tell the difference in the style, so it doesn't match. So it's like a red flag. Also, like you can do a Google reverse image search to find out the original person that posted it, and it should tie back to that person's account, like their photography page, their Model Mayhem, their website, their like stock photography profiles or something. Like it shouldn't go to like different random people all over the place. That has nothing to do with them. So if you see a photographer's portfolio and it looks suspicious, then Google image reverse search. For you guys don't know what that is when you take an image, and instead of typing in the search with Google, you can go to Google Images, upload a photo, and then it'll tell you where that photo was originally posted and who it belongs to, like the website, their social media, their like whatever is tied into that will pop up, and it will be associated with that person. But if it goes to a person that doesn't have anything to do with the portfolio that you found it in, then like it's not that person's work. And excuse me. Like it's not that person's work, and most likely that person is it could be like a sex trafficker, like people use Model Mayhem for sex trafficking, or Craigslist, or Facebook, or whatever social media site to trick people into working with them, and they get into all type of different situations. So I don't recommend that. I worked with people. They weren't necessarily like catfish situations, but like I worked with people when we agreed to do one thing, and then I get to the shoot, and they try and like trick you into doing something else that you never would have agreed to do. So, and ends up being like a huge waste, and it's such a pain to deal with because only a handful of people that I've worked with over the past few years I actually worked working with, and then the rest it's kind of meh, and then some are just really bad experiences. Excuse me, I have to burp again. And then like my work related sort of catfish experiences is like one time I worked as a seamstress for a hairstylist because this hairstylist posted an ad for a seamstress job, and then I applied thinking that I was gonna like do sewing alterations and stuff because that's what I was doing at the time. Like I worked in cleaners and hotels and like graphic shops where they do like alterations and stuff. Like I was doing that for a while, and then I saw this job, and I thought, okay, cool, like that's right up my alley. Like I can just do more of the same thing of what I'm already doing. And then I get there, and it's a hairstylist, and he sells hair pieces to men who have like bald spots and stuff, and he does it custom, so it's like a lace front on their bald spot, and like he'll draw a marker on their head and have like a mold and cut around it, and then he'll use that as the mold for the lace, and then he'll take a sample of their hair and like send it off to a lab somewhere, and then have they'll send him human hair that matches that person's texture and color and all that other stuff. And then like it was my job to crochet more. It wasn't really sewing, it was like crocheting hair into the lace things. I don't know what they're called, the lace hair things. And you had to do it like each individual hair strand had to be put in there and double knotted, and you're supposed to pull on it to make sure that it's tight and it fits in. And like some of them had to go in like certain patterns to match the person's hair and stuff. And he thought, well, if I post an ad for like a hairstylist, most hairstylists don't really learn the skill. I would rather hire a seamstress since they already know how to sew. They're pretty crafty, then they'll catch on to it quick. That was like his line of thinking. So I went into the job thinking that it was one position, and it turned out to be something else completely different. And I don't work with that person anymore because it was a very toxic, chaotic environment, and it wasn't what it was advertised to be, and I ended up doing something else. Another catfish kind of work experience is I applied to a job as a brand ambassador, which is, basically store demos. If you ever go to Costco or Whole Foods or whatever, and you see people, they're giving away free samples, for whatever, and they have the stuff on the table so that you can buy it if you like it. If you're not, you keep going. That sort of thing. That's pretty much what I've been doing for the past few years for different companies, so that's what I thought it was. And when you apply to these type of jobs, you have to send like a picture of yourself, like a current selfie or like a professional headshot, and a picture of you doing a demo for like another company or whatever to prove that you have experience doing the work. And most jobs for this position, they require you to take a picture or have somebody else take a picture of you behind the table with the products all set up to prove that you were there, because the companies they don't have representatives in the store. You don't have a manager. You're an independent contractor. You go there, you sign in, you set up, you sell, and then you do like a demo report after the fact. And part of the demo report is having somebody take a picture of you at your table set up. So I sent those pictures before I got to the interview. And then I got to the interview, and things tend to like go well and stuff. And then I got to the first day of work, and I wasn't really working. And it turns out that the job wasn't really a brand ambassador job. The job was, it was a kiosk in the airport, and they were trying to get people to sign up for this credit card. And the deal was you get like free bag check-ins, like a few, like certain number a year depending on which card you sign up for, and you get like discounts on your flights for freaking flyer miles and stuff. But the interest rate plus the yearly fee on top of what people normally pay for like check-in and stuff was actually more expensive if you sign up with the credit card than like if you just kept doing it on your own. But basically, like, it was like a kiosk, and then like it was a girl, she was just like yelling like, sign up for your credit card now, get free bag check-in. And like she kept saying it over and over and over again, like all day, nonstop, unless somebody walked up to her, asked her about it, and then she'll tell them about the product and try and get them to sign on. And like that was basically the thing. It had nothing to do with brand ambassador work. It was more like a sales associate job type thing. So a way that I could describe it is like if you go to a mall or been to the mall in like the last 10 years or so, depending on which one you go to, and you see people in the middle and they're like at those little kiosks, those little mini stores, and everybody's trying to get your attention. You know, they're like, there'll be like a place they're selling hair straighteners. They'll be like, hey, I can straighten your hair for free. Come over here and step right up. Or it'll be toys and like those robotic toys that people fly with remote controls and stuff. Like it'll be someone playing with that, and then when people come over to that area, they'll be like, hey, you want to play with this toy? You want to test this out? Or you want to fly this thing? Or like I saw people selling like personal massagers like before they were popular, like a few years ago. And people will be like, oh, you want a free massage? And you know, like that sort of thing, to try and get people's attention. And then when you get their attention to come up to your area, you like let them test out the product, and or just tell them about it and stuff, and then you get them to sign on or you get them to buy it or whatever. That's the way I would describe this job. That's more like a sales associate job. It had nothing to do with brand ambassador work. It didn't pay what it said it would. Like brand ambassador jobs usually pay a certain amount, and like this paid like almost minimum wage type thing, and it was commission. And then what happened with that job is like I got like harassed by the manager about my hair being natural because he like wanted me to wear a weave, but it didn't make sense because everybody that worked there was black, including the manager. And I sent pictures of myself of how I looked with my current hair and makeup and everything before I even like showed up to the interview. And I showed up to the interview with similar hair and makeup and stuff, so it didn't really make sense for me to have like a first day of work and then just to be harassed by people. And it was like a full day shift, you know, like an 8-hour shift, and like I never got paid for that first day of work, so-called first day of work, and I was just harassed, and it was misleading. I also like noticed red flags. Like when I got there, the people who interviewed me for the job, they went like they walked me over to where I was supposed to start work, and then they went over to the area where they do interviews, and like, oh, we have to do more interviews. And I thought that was strange because it was just like a kiosk in the airport, and it was like 2 or 3 of them there throughout the whole entire airport, and the airport is really huge. So, and it was only like 3 or 4 people like at a kiosk at a time, or at least like 2 or 3. So it didn't make sense for them to always be hiring. Like, oh, we've been like doing interviews all week, or yeah, we do interviews like every day, all day. And I'm like, if they've been doing like interviews for months and they do it like every day, then they shouldn't need to continue to do interviews, because that means that people are even leaving. They're either leaving the job because of the false advertising or the harassment or whatever, or they're getting fired for petty things. So, like, why would I want to work in a place where people don't last long? That's kind of a telltale sign. Like, you don't want to work at a place where people don't last long, either because they quit because the job is BS, or they get fired for petty reasons. Like, you don't want to work in a place where that's always hiring and it's relatively small, so it doesn't even make sense for them to always be hiring. Because if it was a legit job, they wouldn't need to continue hiring and stuff. But as far as like romantically or friendship wise, I never tried to be. I never tried to date anybody on the internet. People like try and send me messages or whatever to try and like get me to date them or whatever, and I mostly ignore them or just say no thanks or whatever. And like I never had that catfish like experience. And I was wondering like, well, what about the friends I made online? Like, are they real people? And I'm like, yeah, they're real people. I have mutual friends with them. I see them post pictures of themselves, and some of those people have online presences. They have online presence where they do like live videos and stuff on Instagram or Facebook. And there's people I know in person who know them in person, so it wouldn't really make sense. And I don't really interact and engage with them that much. So even if they were like catfish profiles, then it wouldn't really matter because I don't have that much interaction with them at all. So yeah, those are kind of like my catfish job slash model like situations. I hope you guys can relate to this or find it entertaining in some way, shape, or form. Doing another lazy pinup style thing with my hair because I didn't feel like doing my hair for YouTube. It's such time consuming. Excuse me. It's such a time consuming and tedious process, and it's something that I seriously just stressed about. Like, I would get all set up for a YouTube video, and then it'd be like, oh, I can't do a YouTube video because I didn't do my hair. And like, I would like not do a YouTube video at all. So I just figured I would just tie my hair up into this skull scarf thing and put a hair bow in it. I don't even have bangs today. Like, I didn't really do much with my hair today. So yeah. And my makeup is very basic. Like, it's orange, a little bit of purple on the crease, and black. So here's a close up of my makeup. I'm not wearing foundation or concealer, so you guys can see my acne all close up. Hope you guys find this entertaining. Please comment below if you guys have any similar or relatable experiences, and I'll try and interact and engage you guys as much as possible. Like, subscribe, share, whatever. And I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later.